He's putting me off now. Welcome to another show of Cowboys and Indian. I'm your host, Tone. And before we start, a word from our sponsor. Actually, we haven't got a sponsor. So if you'd like to sponsor one of our shows, please drop us a quick note, quick email, and we'd love to give you a shout out. We've been going now for 5 weeks, and we've had about over 200 hours of views. So, certainly it's getting good coverage, and we thank everyone who subscribed. And on a subscription, please hit like and subscribe to this video if it's your first time watching our one of our shows. So this is actually a sort of a special episode. It's called Duggy Rambles because obviously, I speak to Duggy every week, well, every day, and he does go into one. It's about they're making a mistake. Goalkeepers not doing what they're supposed to do in old-fashioned forwards. He'll go into one, but before I jump onto that, our apologies for Stu. He's not well today, unfortunately. He's a little bit Tom Dick, so he's off. But we've got a wonderful stand-in. You may recognise those distinguished looks, and it's our dear friend Charlie from the episode 310 to Old Trafford. Charlie, how you doing?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Good. Oh, we're all good. We're all good. And without further ado, the singing cowboy. How you doing, Dougie?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you, sir. Nice to see you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, jumping straight into this, Dougie, what's on your mind?
No, week? I want to go back really, like to when I first started doing what I can remember my games of playing football as. I don't know what you call schools, the years anymore, because we used to call it, the nursery. And then from the nursery, you went into the infants. The infants, you went to the juniors. And the juniors, we went to secondary school, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Well, I remember when we went to junior school, we got our first real PE teacher. We used when the infants, you chased the beanbag round it, and or skidded round the floor in a pair of old tights that you used to go and find in a makeup colour. And this teacher, the first thing he did, Mr. Walker, his name was, he took us onto a football pitch and he stood us in positions. And he went, right, you're the forward. For some unknown reason, he called the two we always had two up front in like a 4-4-2. And then on the two left and midfields, left and right, we call red. He used to call them inside forwards. And for whatever reason, that's what they was called then. Then you centre midfield. But then he would go into defence and he would say, like, you're the left back, you're the right back, and you're the two central defenders, and you're the goalkeeper. This is your job, right? So then he explained to us what we had to do. I always played left back. I had no pace. Do you know what I mean? So they stuck me at the back, and hopefully I could stick my leg out, get the ball, trip someone up. And I just feel over the last, since, I think if we're right, Charlie, this goes back to Guardiola. I might be wrong. But I feel since with Guardiola, then we'll say in the 80s, suddenly, if I say to you, for instance, Charlie, what's a goalkeeper's job?
Keep the ball out of the net, isn't it, really? Quite simple.
Tony, what's the left back's job?
Defend.
Charlie, a right back's job?
Defend.
The two centre backs, what's their job?
Protect the goalkeeper, defend.
Exactly. And if you go back to Jack Charlton, he got picked for the 66 World Cup. And he said to Alf Ramsey, why have you picked me? Like, there's so many more better players. He went, because we're in trouble. Kick that ball into row Z. And we was taught really silly things when you was a goalkeeper. If you dive for the ball, if you're going to push the ball away and you can't catch it, push it to the left, push it to the right. Always try to never stop it in front of you, But I just feel over the last few years, suddenly the goalkeeper is meant to be a sweeper. The left back is now meant to be a winger or a wing back, whatever you want it. The right back is meant to be a winger. And then the two centre midfield players are meant to play as sweepers, just like the goalkeeper. But I think to change that generational thing round, I looked at the amount of mistakes that was made by Ben Foster. I looked at him when he was in goal for Tottenham. And when he was born, probably, and started his career as a goalkeeper, he was told what to do, what not to do. Now, I think if you're 10 or 11 now and you're learning to be a goalkeeper, they can say, right, we expect you to come out and play on the edge of your box. And when the ball comes over, they try to beat the offside trap, say like the Tottenham way, they play a high line, then you've got to come out and clear the ball. But they're too long and too old in the teeth, as like the old left backs and right backs. We've got the issue at the moment, which we had with Lopetegui at West Ham, where he wanted to push Wan-Bissaka up and Emerson on the other side, and they just couldn't get back, and then it left them totally exposed. He would then move into a back three at the back, and if you looked at the Brentford game, they was playing 4 against 3 this year, and we was getting totally outplayed. So my point of the matter is the art of defending dead, and are defenders now really, do they want them to be attackers?
It's an interesting one. I mean, with goalkeepers, I mean, if you take social media, whenever you're linked with a goalkeeper, the comments are, or even pundits, they're like, how good are they with their feet? Not shot stopping. Do they come for crosses, distribution, handling, positioning? Look at the fullbacks. How good are they going forward? Not can they defend? Centre backs, can they play out from the back? Not are they good in the air? You know, positioning, defensive awareness, timing of the tackle, one-on-one situations. It's just, it all seems about what they can do with the ball rather than, and there's a lot more to it with defending. Definitely. I mean,
but
you
do
look
you
at
not
the 90s,
think, Charlie, that when they make the mistakes, you know, because of with all these vests they wear showing how far they run, where they are on the pitch all the time, and it gets picked up, it's getting highlighted a lot more. If you look at your central defenders, invariably, they're, other than what I call the old-fashioned number 9 we used to have up front, they was always the tallest players in the team, wasn't they? You know, because you want them to get up and win the headers. I always call that the first phase ball, and then it's up to your midfield to try and win the second phase ball when it comes down. So you invariably, big men haven't really got a great deal of pace, have they?
oh, I mean, no, and what the famous saying, he's got a good touch for a big man, is the what that used to be a saying, wasn't it? If they got a good first touch for a big man, it was a bit unusual if they did, because English football was a lot of in the air. You know, it was get it up to the big man or get it to the wingers so they could cross it in. I mean, you know, in the 90s, you had 1 week you might have come up against Shearer, the next week Duncan Ferguson, the week after that Noel Quinn, Les Ferdinand. I think the lack of a big striker is you know, I mean, that's gone now anyway. But you know, defending English football in the 90s was it was a battle, wasn't it? It was a constant scrap. But they still had to, you know when to go forward, know when to step back, know the goalkeeper was going to come for crosses. I mean, with goalkeepers, I think the influx of foreign goalkeepers, you notice everyone now starts to punch the ball. But in the 90s, the
No one
goalkeepers
catches it.
fought it a lot more. Yeah. But you look at, you know, in the 90s, the goalkeepers, they was all English or Scottish or whatever, or Welsh. But when they come for it, they caught it. Whereas now, you know, everything's a punch, which I think leads to a lot more mistakes than catching it. I mean, most goalkeepers don't even come for corners, really, do they?
How many mistakes have been made by goalkeepers alone? I mean, I think the Ipswich goalkeeper has cost them a lot of points this year. Not his fault, you know what I mean? But I think the last time we looked, there was 21 last year made mistakes by goalkeepers, and so far this year it's 25 alone, 25 goals, which isn't, you don't sound a lot, but when you're a team that could stay up by 1 point, as it is down the bottom at the moment, they're massive. They're massive, their mistakes, really massive. Who was the 2 Barcelona fullbacks, Charlie, that started this win-back revolution in the 80s under Guardiola?
I think if you look toward that Barca side in the early, between 2009, 2011, that kind of time, you had Dani Alves and Jordi Alba, which is kind of maybe when it was very much started as in the fullback does a lot more attacking than just defending. And they was great at it. I mean, all right, in the 90s, you could have, you know, that Brazil side of Roberto Carlos and Cafu, but no one really followed that. That was just, you know, Brazil. But yeah, it was kind of after Barcelona where and then you kind of, it was, you know, most of the time, all right, you still had your Evers and Ashley Coles, but as time went on, teams started to kind of look a bit more fullbacks getting forward and how good are they at getting forward and crossing and making overlapping runs. I mean, all right, Neville and Beckham were great at it. You know, Neville would overlap and get the ball in, but his first job was always to defend. Whereas now it's not necessarily like that. It's how good are they at attacking and worry about defending later.
We've had this debate, like especially with Lopetegui, and I think the problem with Lopetegui was when he was at West Ham. A lot of people, some people say he deserved, some people say he didn't get a chance, and you got a lot in the middle that are not sure. But for me, he didn't learn by his mistakes. He never ever learned, and he wanted to push them fullbacks on, which everyone says to me, the pace of the football now, people are like athletes. So like, if you're going to sprint down that wing, most pitches are around about 100 meters, 100 yards. The smallest, I think that's the law, is 100 yards. Then if you're going to sprint down there, like you look at 100 yards, 100 meter sprint in the Olympics, when they finish, they're fucked. Excuse my language. They've had it. You know what I mean? So like, if they sprint down there at full pelt, you can't expect them to then get back and defend. So then you're left, as we are when we're playing these three at the back. And if you haven't got a really deep sitting midfielder who's going to sit in there to make it the four, and with the defence, what I've noticed a lot of defence, what they're doing at the moment, they play very narrow, and they're giving the attackers lots of room down the right wing and the left wing. And we don't seem to try to not just West Ham, mostly they don't seem to try and go out and intercept them until they're almost level with the penalty area. Where years ago we used to go out, didn't we? Everyone would go false and wide. I mean, with the inverted wingers, they come inside anyway. But like, used to force them wide, force them towards the corner flag and make them cross it in. But now the back three, or the back four, as they say, when you look, they seem to just stay on the edge of their own area and don't go out and intercept anyone coming along. I mean, you've got the team, the lad at Liverpool who's going to go Madrid. He's not the greatest defender in the world, but he's a better attacker, that Trent Arnold. But it's just long diagonals. If you look when Klopp was there, it was long diagonals from Trent Arnold to a straight run from Mane, and Robertson was a long diagonal to a straight run from Salah. And it was easy, but I called that Wimbledon ball. But if you look back now at what the change is happening within the Man City squad and the problems they've got since the injuries to Rodri, De Bruyne ain't what he was, the Silva ain't what he was. All of a sudden, you've got the team that started this. They're the team starting to play the long ball again. And it's
progressive, Duggy.
It's not leaving. Go on.
It's progressive. This is the way football's going. We've been entertained with this now for what? This playing out from the back.
Yeah, but it's not doing it right, is it? And the goalkeepers are making too many mistakes, and the defenders, and they're getting highlighted that they're being made too many mistakes. You can't, look, if someone
we've been entertained. We've been entertained for the last we've been entertained for the last 10 years with this type of football. Why is it suddenly no good? Why is it no good now? Who
did you get entertained by?
Man City. You did. I admit they're having a bad season.
You do not get bored with Man City's football.
There was a time, Man City, but they have been quite boring in the last few years. But I mean, it's obviously worked for them brilliantly because they've won, trebles and stuff. But there was a time they was a lot more attacking, especially when they first bought Benjamin Mendy and Kyle Walker. I mean, them two just flew down the line constantly. But that has gone now. The one thing I would say about City, the one thing they were so good at was how easily they beat the press. When teams tried to press them, they beat it so easy. And this year, it is
they can't do it.
It is this is why they've just gave it to Edison or Ortega and just gone long. Because the other way to beat the press, well, you go over it, don't you? So, and that's what they've tried to do. I mean, playing out from the back, if you can't play out from the back very well, then you're always going to make mistakes. And you're going to...
If you haven't got a good enough team, Charlie, let's say that Man City had that team, right, that could do that, then, yeah, play out from the back. But when you're the likes of Ipswich in a scrap, I remember Dave Basson a few years ago, people don't remember Dave Basson, he was Wimbledon manager, and he did some survey, and he went... Every goal he scored within 3 touches of leaving the goalkeeper. It might have been Bobby Gould, but I'm sure it was Dave Basson. You know, so they used to lob it up. I had John Fastner who used to try and edit on, they'd pass it, and that's how it was. Now, if you're like an Ipswich and you're down there and you're hoping, maybe they don't want to stay up. Maybe, you know, Leicester haven't spent any money for whatever reason. Southampton, I think, are already gone. But, I mean, you've got to look, it's going to be Leicester for me or Ipswich. I've got to try and overall a five-point deficit with Wolves, isn't there? And Wolves lose. But if you can't play out from the back, why do it? Say, listen, you know, yes, win a game, but the first thing you need to do is be able to defend. I mean, England used to have a defensive coach who worked with Arsenal years ago, with Don Howe. And before anything, he taught everybody how to defend. You said it when Henry played for Man City. He said to Henry, Guardiola, in the last third of the field, you can stand where you want. But in the first 2/3 coming up from us, the first third from our goal, you stay in a certain position because you've got to do your work for the other side. And if you don't, you're no good to me. And that's how it should be. I think it's caused a different revolution within the game where players at the back, they've got good players, but I don't think they can defend anymore. I think we've got left backs, right backs and centre backs that just can't defend. And they make one mistake, even though they're asked to be galloped up. We've got it with Mavropanos at the moment at West Ham. Everything he does, he seems to do wrong. And yet the bloke next to him, who costs 40 million, Hillman, gets away scot-free week in, week out. Well, if one of us makes a mistake, are you telling me, you know, I look at really good pairings, Adams and Bold, Ferdinand and Vidic. If one of them missed it, the other one was there to back them up. But the minute Mavropanos makes a mistake, Hillman's not there. The best West Ham defend is when they have Cresswell and Soufal in the team, because they know how to read a game. Bobby Moore was one of the slowest players to ever play football, but he could read a game. Pelé said he was the best defender he ever had. I don't get it. I just don't. My personal opinion, they're not defenders anymore. And even the goalkeepers, I'm amazed that more goalkeepers haven't broke their leg, because that rule come out a while back as well, didn't it? That you couldn't pass back to the goalkeeper and he could pick the ball up. So, like, goalkeepers are having to run it. And I always thought that would cause more broken legs, where people would run in as they tried to build it quickly. But they're not. You've got goalkeepers trying to dribble out. And yes, I mean, I remember that goalkeeper, bloody hell, Colombia. Who was the goalkeeper at Colombia who did the scorpion kick? This goalkeeper played really well. What was his name?
Yeah, Rene Higuita.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like, there are goalkeepers that are really, really, really skillful. I mean, he said he heard the whistle and he knew that we was offside, and that's why he did that scorpion kick, like, whether or not he did. But they're not got defenders. Learn to defenders, how to defend first, get your centre back, head that ball, make space. When you play football, when we had a little kids' football thing, someone's got a radio on. It was make the space. You putting a porn film on, Tone, or you're getting bored? Or you should say, make space. If you make space, you've got time. And makes good movement, gives you space. And with space, when you get the ball, you have time. And when people press, that's just what you got to do. You found it.
Is this your man?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, the audacity of that. I got to pull it back.
He was so lucky it come off.
Yeah, but no, Charles, he said he heard the whistle and knew we was offside. That's why he did it.
Yeah.
Mate, is that not amazing?
Yeah. I think every kid tried that.
Who's tried it?
I think every kid tried that after that happened. We was all doing it on the concrete and everything else. Any time a ball come over, you tried to do it.
I'll slip a disc.
Yeah.
I mean, even goalkeepers now, Charlie. I don't think goalkeepers make good saves. I watched the replay. It was the big match revisited. I just walked in the other afternoon, put ITV, and it was on. And the saves them goalkeepers make, like numerous saves during a game. I don't think you get goalkeepers doing really good saves anymore.
No.
Duggy, sorry, Charlie. Go for it, Charlie.
No, I mean, it's a very different game. But, I mean, you know, like styles of play, like you said about the three. I mean, look at Burnley in the Championship when they came. They was amazing in the Championship. They smashed it, didn't they? Played great football. When they come to the Premier League, he refused to change his style of play. Now, the jump from the Championship to the Premier League is so big. You know, you go from winning every week to then pretty much losing every week, most teams that come up. But he didn't, Vincent Kompany. he kept to his style, and they got relegated. Like,
but do you know,
I
Sonny,
think the
if you
style of
looked
play
at that
doesn't help with
season,
defenders.
sorry.
I don't think it helps with defenders massively. But then part of being this, it goes back to the art of defending. A good
If you
centre
don't
back
concede a
partnership.
goal, right? If you don't concede, the other team ain't going to win, right? A lot of people used to mug off Moyes, but mug off did know that. Listen, I want a Moyes lover before we go any further. Anyone throws at me, fight. But that team used to be able to defend, right? And then we would try and nick one on the break. Don't let in the goal and then try and score. You can't be expected, going back to your team at the moment, Charlie, it's all over the show, Man United, the defence. And as much as Amorim wants to play, he's free, whatever, he wants to play free up front, doesn't he? It don't work. So when you're scratching for points, you've got to change your system, whether you want to do it or not. I mean, how many world-class goalkeepers are there? When England used to go away, they used to take 4 world-class goalkeepers with them. I mean, who do you think's any good in the Premier League at the moment? Maybe the Liverpool goalkeeper, maybe the Aston Villa goalkeeper.
Yeah, I do think
Pickford,
Alisson.
that's it.
Alisson and Edison, I do think are good goalkeepers. I'll have to say there. I think, yeah, I mean Martinez for Villa, he's done well. I wouldn't rank Pickford as. I think he's
the England goalkeeper, Charlie.
Yeah, but England have struggled for goalkeepers. I mean, since when was what was it? Seaman the last time we had a proper world-class goalkeeper? I mean, all right, Joe Hart done okay, Paul Robinson, but that you never felt like. I mean, David James. It was just, but it never felt like you weren't filled with confidence with them, was you?
Robert Green was all right until he let that easy going.
That was against USA in the World Cup, wasn't it?
Then he lost his confidence.
Then he made a few mistakes at West Ham. But then, yeah.
But just now, go through the teams. And there's no way there are any world-class goalkeepers, I don't think.
You could say the same about centre-backs, though. I mean, it gets a little bit of criticism, Van Dijk, because they say he's played in an era with a lack of world-class strikers. Now, maybe that.
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah. Which is probably true, but I do think he is a great centre-back, and you don't see that anymore, really. I mean, again, you go back to the 90s in English football, you had to be physical. You had to, because, the striker was going to be. But you had to be one step ahead of the game as well. I mean, that's what the good, Italians were good at, weren't they? They perfected the art of defending, didn't they? You look at Nesta and Cannavaro. They weren't physically imposing, but they read the game so well and was one step ahead of everyone. That was what made them world class.
So, hang on, just touching back on this subject. So, the art of defending?
Oh, defending, is it finished?
Is lost,
are defenders meant to attack first and defense is their secondary purpose?
I think it also ties into one of your other rants, which obviously we're not going to talk about today, which is old-fashioned centre forward. How many old fashioned centre forwards do you get? Where you can actually kick the ball up with them. Chris Wood, one.
Chris Wood.
You'd think Haaland would be one, but he don't play in the right team to play.
Yeah, but his build-up play isn't fantastic.
Because that's what I mean. It doesn't. But if he played for a different team, could he hold the ball up?
I think Haaland plays the way he does because when he got a lot of goals the last few seasons, it's great players around him, and they make space and they make runs for him. So it frees up space. At the moment, the defenders are doubling up on him like they did on Kudus, and the Egyptian lad, Mamouche, he's starting to score a few goals, isn't it?
Is Bowen an old-fashioned centre forward?
No. I mean, no. You look at for us, Rasmus. Just because you're 6'2", 3, 4, doesn't mean you're going to hold the ball up well. Rasmus Højlund's first touch can be like a trampoline sometimes, but that's not his game.
As Antonio's.
Yeah, his game isn't hold-up play. That he is not good at that. It's running onto balls, which we don't really do. For some reason, we try and play it to him, but you don't really get many of them anymore. You get very different types of strikers now. But then I do think there is a serious lack of strikers. I mean, take West Ham fans. Paolo Di Canio probably gets into the majority of Premier League sides as a number 9 now. And he played for a West Ham side that was only really ever mid-table. But yeah, I think he starts for Arsenal, who are second in the league. I think he was better than Jota and Núñez, who Liverpool have got, and they're going to win the league. So I do think there is a serious lack of strikers out there.
Yeah, but you used to stand on the centre circle, didn't you? You had to stay in your half to stay offside. And normally they'd put 2 on you, even when you went up, for a corner. You never got your forwards. You never brought anybody back, like everybody, because you got no outlet. So if the goalkeeper caught it, you always wanted someone fast and the forward up front, so the goaler could lay it off to him and you could break away. Now we've got 10 men and the goalkeeper defending, and there's stupid zonal marking. If you're a centre back, and the ball's coming over and you can see it, go and meet it and edit. Don't hold the person. And I mean, all this tussling and everything. It's just preposterous, and it's ruining football for me. Totally ruined. Generational thing, Tom. It can come back again. You watch. Now Guardiola's changing. Everyone think I don't know what's going on with him, because it suddenly seems to have lost the plot, doesn't he? All of a sudden. And they're going through a big transition. One question for you boys. Are you going to give Liverpool any credit? I think they've won the league, by the way. And I think they have got the best squad. I don't think they've got the best. I think, like you say, Van Dijk's good in the back. I don't really rate Arnold as the best defender. But I do think overall, the best squad has won, for me, a poor league this year. But congratulations if they win it.
I think for me, it's been a poor league for quite a while. At the end of the day, you can only beat what's put in front of you. So you've got to give them credit for that much. I think the problem was Klopp left. They didn't really sign anyone apart from Chiesa, who hasn't done anything. So I think everyone thought this, it might be a bit of an iffy season for them. But I think you've got to give the manager credit. He's come in. It's not like they don't play the same way as Klopp, but they've played his way. They've got the results. Yeah, it's been a poor league, but I could have said the same thing for Man City for the last 2 years.
Do you agree, Tony, or do you think it's been a good league?
I mean, it's not very competitive, is it? Where are we now? We're in March, beginning of March, and they've won it. I think they said possibly by the end of this month, depending on how the results go, that's it. It's finished. There's no way, even if Liverpool loses their games.
I think they've got to play Arsenal. I think they've still got to play Arsenal. So
yeah, because someone's saying, wouldn't it be great if that game was the game as a decider? If they.
I mean, look, if you're not involved in a title race, you want the title race to be as tight and neck as possible, didn't you?
Absolutely. And it's the same thing at the bottom. The bottom 3. That's it, isn't it? Yeah, it's finished.
Yeah, I can't see how they get the points.
I can't. We played Leicester on Thursday. Oh, and it was bad. The whole game was bad. Well, the first part wasn't too bad from West Ham's point of view, obviously scoring 2 goals. But Leicester was bad. They just sat off too long. In the second half, I think both teams were poor. I ended up getting my spoons out and giving them a polish.
I watched Leicester against Arsenal, and I actually thought Leicester played well.
We heard the same thing, yeah. So,
but then they absolutely then got annihilated by Brentford, and then easily beaten by West Ham. So
I think as they lose game, the teams down the bottom, they're playing with so much stress now, and it's massive amounts of money. There are rumours going round, and that when they go down, it's a possibility that Leicester was going to get deducted points in the Championship, but when they go down, they're going to get that deduction. Now, whether that happens or not, and they'll probably start on I hope not as well. But look at Luton. Yeah. Luton was in the league last year. Now they're bottom of the Championship. So you spend money to keep yourself up. And I think sometimes it's better doing like Southampton have done. Mate, I've got to tell you, all them fans, right, what fantastic fans at Leicester, Southampton. They're not going to win. I mean, Derby were the lowest, I think, ever to go down on 11. And I think they need to win one more game to match it, Southampton. But every single week, they sell out. So, hats off to the fans, mate. I mean, I've said it before. Not every fan is a glory fan, and not every team their fans expect them to think that they should win something.
Yeah,
so hats off to all the Leicester, Ipswich, and Southampton fans.
So we're coming up to the half an hour. Any last words from either Either one of you?
Well, someone disagree with me. If anyone wants to write in these comments, tell me that defenders shouldn't defend. Tell me that goalkeepers are not there to stop the goal going in. Go on, Tony.
Someone argue with him.
And centre backs, for God's sake, get your head on the ball. Don't put it back into a position of more danger. Get it out. Same with the goalkeepers. Don't mess around tiddly-diddly, tippy-tappy football. You know what to do. If in doubt, kick it out. That's what we used to say to our kids when we had the kids' teams.
Yeah. If you want to anyone looking for a coach for their team on how to play old-fashioned football, give Duggy a call. He's somewhere on the south coast of Spain, so yeah, it was not difficult to find, just outside Benidorm. Charlie, any last thoughts from you?
I can't really disagree with him. I do think the art of defending is, well, let's say changed. It's certainly not like it was, but I do prefer. I think we do need to go back to where, first and foremost, a defender is actually good at defending. I would love that, especially at United at the moment, because if we lose any more games, I think I'm going to lose it myself.
That's another
Painful.
Program, Charlie. That's another show.
Painful. Right. Well, thanks, gentlemen. Really appreciate it. So just popped up our email address at the bottom of the show. If anyone would like to come on our show, looking for fans up and down the league, we have got we've got a hopefully in this coming week we've got a very exciting show with a lovely lady from Birmingham City fan, and Dougie, I believe we've got someone from Arsenal later today.
Yeah, we've got an Arsenal fan, we've got a Notts County fan, and we've also got a West Ham Elche fan who finds it cheaper to fly out to Spain, pays €110 a year for his season ticket, and watch a game, and then fly back again than it is for a day out at West Ham from Cheshire. So he'll be on next weekend, I think.
Unbelievable. And I'm glad you just mentioned that. I just want to give a shout out to Tommy on his show. So Tommy's show came out 3 days ago, and it was Everton Football Club. He had about 700 views. So he sent me a message earlier on saying his wife keeps on telling him to stop watching the same YouTube. So he's helped him get as many views as possible. But funny guy. So thank you very much, Tommy. And one last shout, really. I'll let you sort of shout it out, really, Dougie, on this one, which is to do with the Hammers United and the concessions.
Yeah, mate. We had a guy called Andy on. It was an absolutely fantastic show. You know, the money side of football. Wow. We started looking into it, and it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. The wages. I think the difference was Man City's wages 1.2 billion, and Luton's was 30 million last year. And anyway, the guy from Hammers United come on, Andy, and it was a pleasure to sit there and listen to him. 22,000 members, and they was after West Ham, who was trying to stuff basically all the pensioners, all the kids, and all the old season ticket holders. And they've literally peaceful protests gone around the country, joined up with other fans, and it's been an amazing. West Ham have decided to agree to give the children their concessions back, as in pensioners, not make them sit up in the roof stands, and of course the season ticket prices have been frozen. So literally amazing. If anyone gets a chance, they are trying to get loads of fans, not just West Ham fans, to join us, because it's, you know, as Charlie knows, the Man United fans have gone up, their tickets have gone up from 40 quid to 66, but their prices have gone 26. Leicester's have been charging £100 for their European venture. It's just ridiculous. And without the fans, football is dead. So, mate, I can't give Hammers United as much praise. And if you get a chance, please watch the Fistful of Dollars video. It's mega interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And even on the Man United, I know that Liverpool supporters group has been working with the Man United supporters group to help them with their ticket prices. So we call it support the supporter. Yes, you support your own team, but look after the supporters of other teams. Otherwise, we'll have no one to play against. But
we have our rivalries, but we do come together with when we think we're being wronged. So same as the Super League, we all came together, didn't we? And absolutely right.
Yeah, absolutely. On that note, thank you very much for tuning in, and please do not forget to hit like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. Share us show amongst your mates, and we'll look forward to one of Dougie's next rambles. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.